Hello. My cello is just over there, as many of you know, sat in my office. It's here for a reason. It's not here just to clutter up my office. It's here because I am trying to get myself to practice more. And my thinking was, if my cello's in here, I'm going to practice a bit more. Because I see it, I can't pretend it's not there, and it will reproach me, as it's doing right now, to get me to practice more. I started lessons about 5 years ago when I first lost my weight. One of my goals was in losing weight, was that I wanted to learn the cello for many reasons. One was that one of the things I wasn't doing was looking after myself and doing things for me, and that was one of the reasons that I'd put a lot of weight on. So I knew I had to address that. But it was also to do with feeling rather self-conscious and silly, and I didn't want to be this great big fat woman 7.5 stone heavier with trying to fit a cello in between my legs and looking ridiculous. So it was a really important thing for me, and still is actually. I love my lessons, but I do not have time to practice, and being 52 now, practicing is actually a really important part of moving forwards. I can't just pick it up every Saturday with my cello teacher and expect to progress and move on. I have to practice to move on, but I just can't find the time. And sometimes it's because, I don't know, mum and dad aren't very well, and so they need me to step in and help. Or it might be that one of the kids suddenly is doing an extra club, and I've tried so many different things to try and get me to practice more, from getting up earlier, I just would rather be in bed, to scheduling it into my daily activities. Well, then one of my clients rings up and says, "Can I pop by at such and such time?" And I go, "Yeah, all right." Or I have to drop something around to the school because one of the children has forgotten it, or I suddenly panic because we're out of milk and use my practice time for that. There's always a reason why I end up not practicing. And it struck me that this is very similar to when we're dieting and maintaining, believe it or not. And the reason it's similar is because what we prioritize is what we do. So, and obviously there are times in life when of course you have to reprioritize stuff. So, like for instance, the incident of mum and dad not being very well, or my brother's second baby coming along and me needing to reprioritize my life to step in to support everyone because there wasn't anyone else around to do that. That obviously becomes your main priority. If you're ill or one of the children's ill, or that's going to be your main priority. And the other things in your life get jiggled around to fit in. But it doesn't mean that things have to stop completely. Just because I don't have time to practice my cello, and I don't always have time to go to my cello lessons, it doesn't mean I've stopped it completely. And yet we seem to have this mentality with dieting and losing weight, that because I often hear people say it's just, I can't focus on it right now, or it's not a priority for me right now. But just because it's not a priority or a focus, it doesn't mean you have to drop it completely. And yet we do with dieting and with maintenance as well. I'll get back to that when I've got the headspace for it. But it can still be there, and it's all about the choices that we make. And if something isn't working, so for instance with my cello practice, and think of this with the analogy of dieting and maintaining, if something isn't working, so if I can't fit in practicing for my cello, what I do is I look at, okay, what needs to change, which is why I've tried half a dozen different things to try and get me to practice more. If doing it at 6 a.m. in the morning isn't working, change it and do something different. Take action in a different way. Okay, I'm going to factor it in that I'll do it at my lunchtime. Yeah, but I often don't stop for lunch because I'm not hungry at lunchtime, and I'll often skip it. So, right, that hasn't worked. Haven't practiced this week either. Change it. Okay, I am going to factor in a time in my diary each week when I'm going to do my cello practice. That's not worked. Change it. Okay, and you just keep on and on and on changing, trying something new, trying a different action until it works. And it doesn't mean that I've dropped my cello practice. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop my cello playing. It just means that I've got to keep on refocusing and rethinking about what needs to change, and learn and learn and learn. Maybe I'm not being able to get up at 6 a.m. in the morning to practice because, well, maybe I'm just going to bed too late. Funny enough, when I had my bad back, I was getting up at 6 a.m. every morning for about 12 weeks to do yoga as part of a yoga course that I was doing to help with my back. So I made the time then. And how did I make the time? Funnily enough, I made sure I went to bed a bit earlier. So it's just being prepared to look at what needs to change. What do you need to do to change what you're doing? And so that you can reprioritize your weight loss and your maintenance. And if that doesn't work, change it. And if what you do doesn't work again, change it. And just keep on and on and on, taking responsibility for looking at what you need to do to prioritize your health and your wellness, because that's what it comes down to, doesn't it, with weight loss and maintenance. Hope that helps. See you soon.